Hello, Explorers, and welcome to the first of many of our Andor recaps with myself and Charlie. Now, we've given you all at least 24 hours to watch the first three episodes, so be warned from this point onwards, it's going to be filled with spoilers.
And a gentle warning for our listeners towards the end of this episode, we'll be discussing some sensitive topics surrounding the events of episode 2 and 3. So if that's not something you feel you can listen to, feel free to skip this episode and join us later in the week. Over to you, Jack.
Yes, and if you're here for the first time or you're joining us again, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And before we start, it's already been rated 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, a whole series. And we know people have seen all of those 12 episodes and said how good they are. And me and Jimmy were quite fortunate enough to see the first episode in Japan, and it was absolutely crazy good. Over to you, Charlie.
So, how are we going to cover this episode? What we're going to do is we're going to break it down into a number of sections.
Yes, and section wise, we're going to cover it with a few topics. We talk about our overall reactions, our favourite moments, break it down into the individuals' arcs, and then we're just going to break it down again even further to talk about things like the music, the sets, the costumes, and other things that we've noticed in the first three episodes. So, I already seen episode one. We'll jumble them all together so it's a lot easier for us to digest and go through. So first things first, overall reactions. We'll come to you, Charlie. Was it good? Why was it good?
Me.
And which episode out the first three stood out to you and why?
Oh my goodness. See, this is the thing. Before we even get started, I find it incredibly difficult to consider this 3 episodes when what we've actually got is one
Yeah.
story. So it's technically like one big episode. You guys got to watch the first episode at Celebration, which must have been exciting but also deeply infuriating. I sat down, locked in, and watched all 3 episodes in one go, as I think it was intended to be. And oh my goodness, what a story. Was it good? How can you even ask me if it was good? It was a masterpiece. It was exceptional. That's a stupid question. Oh my gosh. Absolutely incredible from start to finish. My jaw was on the floor the entire time. I think the standout episode for me had to be episode 3.
Yeah.
The first 2 episodes were really nicely paced, but episode 3 really kind of kicked it up a gear. And that made me feel like, yeah, we're here, we're in. This is Andor, let's go. How did
Nice.
you feel? How was it for you watching the first episode and then having to wait a little bit?
Oh, it killed me. It absolutely killed me, especially how episode one ended. And I just wanted more. And
Mhm.
obviously, being in the room with loads of other Star Wars fans and watch it on a big screen, there's nothing like it. And the anticipation in the room, the energy in the room, just wanted more. Um, I obviously think it's absolutely amazing. I'm going to the complete other end of you, and I think episode one for me was the best out of the three because literally straight after that, I don't know what it is. It's just being in that room and watching it on the big screen, Star Wars. It is just fantastic. But yeah, overall, absolutely loved the first three. Can't wait for more. What did you think about the pace of the first three arcs? Because you mentioned it as well. You know, just got 3 episodes there, which is really
Mhm.
one story. We know we're going to get 3 episodes each week. There are going to be different stories tied together. Did you think the pacing was good? Do you think it was too much, too little? How do you think the pace of all 3 episodes were?
I actually think when you view it all as one, the pacing works perfectly. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of characters to catch up with. It's been a whole year since we've seen Cassian and Co.
yeah,
So there's a lot of backstory to fill in. There's a lot of where everyone's been, what everyone's been up to, and even not all of those questions have been answered in these first 3 episodes. Like it's a lot to put on a story arc like this, the first 3. And I think that subtle kind of pacing changes where the first episode had a little bit of tension and then the second episode in the middle was a little slower, a little calmer. I think I remember
yeah,
finishing that episode and being like, okay, not very much happened, but I'm here, I'm interested.
yeah.
And then you get this huge crescendo of this third episode. And I think using the wedding as a narrative, like a
Mm,
consistently paced narrative throughout those 3 stories, was really, really cleverly done. Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, no, I totally agree as well. The pacing was brilliant because there was a lot of people from the first season that said it starts off slow, it's a slow burner.
Yeah.
So I think they've took that on board and just gone, you know what, we'll just go for it from the off. And using the tie executor as well was perfect. Um, loads of action from the start, and I agree. I think the pacing of the story for the arc for these first three was spot on, because I think it was spaced over a couple of days as well. Obviously with
Yes.
the wedding and everything that's going on. Now, happy we've got our favourite episode. We've spoke about our overall reactions, but do you have a favourite moment overall from all three? Mine's pretty easy, if I'm totally honest, and it's going to be the first episode, the first bit where he's hitting it into reverse. He's shooting the other troopers as well. So for me, because it's just so action packed and so Cassian as well, straight off the
Didn't it
fly.
just feel like such classic Star Wars, like a
Yeah.
really classic way of just getting us back into the series? It's a chance to see how Cassian's grown. I think it's really interesting because when we left him at the end of
Yes.
season one, he was the one in the know. He was the one who was like the smartest rebel. He knew about the ships, he knew about the armies, he knew about the Empire. Now we see him in a capacity where he don't know nothing because this ship is brand new, never been like publicly shown before, and it's just the Tony Gilroy's storytelling is absolutely exceptional. He says so much by saying so little, and I think that for me ties in
Yeah.
really nicely to my favorite moment, which is this might be shocking for some people, but
Go for
the
it. What have we got?
conversation between the conversation between Leda and Mon Mothma before she goes and gets married, and her daughter says, "I wish you were drunk." I saw somebody online say that Leda could have spit on her mother, and that would have been less of an insult than what she said. And the way Mon's tone changes after that, that particular interaction was a
Yeah.
real highlight for me, not just for the setting and the storytelling and the writing, but the actors involved themselves. Like it was a very, very powerful moment to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Genevieve O'Reilly absolutely kills it. Um,
Hmm.
I just love that how we're only three episodes in and we're already like loving it, and we're at complete different ends of the spectrum. Like your scene's completely different to my scene with the Thai Avenger, and it's just like, honestly, these first three episodes, mind blown, and to know that we're getting another three next week, but it's going to be over so fast as well. But right, yeah,
So
no,
fast.
I am digressing. So that's our like favorite moment overall. If we sort of backtrack a little bit, then and we will break it down. Our favourite moment in each episode. So again, mine's easy enough. We've already spoken about mine. It's going to be the Thai Avenger in the first episode. I think the second one, like I said, it was a little bit slower. I'm trying to think if I mean, the second one was pretty funny with I want to say the people that. In fact, what I'll go with the second one actually was the reveal of Yavin, because I did not expect that straight away.
I know. What annoys me is it took me a couple more scenes to actually clock what I just looked at. I was like, Jungle Planet, interesting. Monsters, interesting. I know those temples. That's Yavin 4.
Yeah, as he went away in the Thai Avenger, and I
So
was like,
good.
that's Yavin.
Okay, so first episode moment is seeing Bimo again because I missed him. I missed him dreadfully. I'm glad that he's
Yeah,
doing okay. He obviously has lots of friends and lots of new droid friends, and that's great
he's
for
loving
him.
life.
Top moment of episode one. He's loving life. Top moment from episode two absolutely has to be the Krennic Empire meeting, specifically
Oh
when they play
yes,
the very cheesy propaganda film for Gore
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
Gorman and the Gorman people. Such a I really wasn't expecting Tony Gilroy to sit down and break down the steps of fascism and how fascism happens and how it takes over and how that becomes in everything. And the narrative they spin you is entirely fed by them and created by them and designed by
yeah,
them. And this is a step-by-step guide on how to be a rebel. And I'm absolutely fascinated by it. I could spend the next hour of this show going into great detail about Tony Gilroy's history knowledge and his cherry picking of the concept of revolution throughout all of our
yeah,
history, whether that's American, British, European, you name it, it's in here. It's absolutely fantastic to genuinely like conceptualize the idea that the empire have propaganda masters.
yeah,
We're going, it's going insane.
yeah. It's absolutely intense. And what's you know, mine's gone blank now. The guy that plays Krennic, what's his name? God, my mind's gone blank. But to say he's been away for like 9 years and he's literally just come straight
Mhm.
back and just fitted straight into it is incredible.
Did you guys notice the Emperor Palpatine and the phrase unlimited power within like the same
Yes.
sentence? That was
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
cheeky. I
I clocked the unlimited power.
thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah. No, I did clock that. And it's like he hasn't been away. I know Rogue One's like, again, like 7 years or whatever ago. And it's like it's not even being away. And that reminds me, actually, whilst we're on this topic, and this is sort of sticking with the recap. Now, you mentioned Sunday in possibly the greatest episode Explore the Force has done, uh, that Rogue One was your least favourite Star Wars film.
Yes,
And it's
it
actually,
is.
I think, my favourite on par with Phantom Menace, give or take. But the reason I'm asking you this, does this sort of build Rogue One back up, or shall we wait and see until we've watched all 12?
This singular episode changes
I
everything.
knew
The
it.
fact
I knew it just by
what
talking to
we're
you.
seeing what we're seeing now versus what we've already seen versus what we know is coming next in the story for Cassian, even in the run up to Rogue
Yeah,
One, means
yeah,
the whole context of Rogue One changes. It flips on its head for me. I am
yeah.
fully prepared to put down my Rogue One hating banner because I fear that it will soon become one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
But not your
What I
feelings on
found even more
Genosa.
interesting. Listen. One step at a time. One step at a time, my friend. We'll get there with Jin. Even the conversation that Krennic was having at the table, where he's talking about the equivalent of a final solution for the Gorman people, which is another discussion in itself. He speaks
Yes.
specifically about how the Emperor is on a quest for energy efficiency across the galaxy. This is what Galen and Urso was working on. This is a direct reference to the building blocks that come before Rogue One. Like Tony
Yeah.
Gilroy is stuffing it in every nook and cranny that he
Genius.
can possibly find, but not in a way that's like you'd expect Yavin 4 to have a title card in the corner. No. He knows that we know.
Yeah.
It's an absolute masterclass, this entire episode, which brings me on to my favorite moment of the last episode that we saw. It has to be Mon Mothma going absolutely crazy in the club.
That's mine.
The whole wedding. The whole wedding is my favorite thing I think I've seen in Star Wars. I love tradition. I love weddings. I love gowns. I love balls. I love the opulence of it. And this was just
Yeah.
chef's kiss. Oh God,
Yeah.
please talk for a bit because I'm going on.
There. I was totally with you. She can throw some moves, can't she? When she was down in them shots as well, I was like, that's my girl. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, no, it absolutely blew my mind. The music as well. I could dig that. That was good music. That little drone, the droid came in, started playing their tunes. Everyone started going crazy. I was like, yeah, this is good. This is
This little
good.
DJ Roomba pumping out the what felt very much like German EDM to me for
Yeah,
all of our European listeners.
yeah. No,
There's a
it's
particular
decent.
flavour to that.
It was. Um, Now, like we said earlier, I'm going to break it down now, and we've sort of came together now. We said that we've got 3 arcs. Sorry, we've had 3 episodes, and we sort of broke it down into, if you like, three arcs. But we've actually gone with 4 arcs with characters and reasons why they stood out.
Hmm.
There's reasons why we've left one person to the end because I think it's probably the biggest arc, or at least message. I think that definitely needs to get spoken about more. But to begin with, we're going to start with my boy Cassian. He seems a lot more confident in himself and his skills
Hmm.
straight from the off. He's not messing about. He's inside an Imperial facility straight from the off. He mentioned in season 1 that all you need to be is confident and sell yourself. And clearly he was that to be that test pilot. It was interesting to me how the informant, was told not to look at him. And I think she sort of got the wrong impression about him. Yet he seemed dead calm, cooling her down, relax. Um, but then in episode 2, going into 3, he's quite ruthless still. Even though those people on Yavin had captured him, still waiting to see who they were. Really, I think they were just stranded people. That's my take on them. But yeah, as soon as he had the TIE Avenger as well in episode 3, as soon as those targets were there, he lit them up. He didn't even blink twice. And then we did see the emotional side, obviously, when he found out his pal, what's his pal, Brox had passed. and been shot.
Brasso.
Brasso, yeah, Brasso had been brassoed. Army slang for you boys and girls there. Um, has Cassian changed from season one, Charlie?
Yes. Absolutely. It's this entire story arc for Cassian has been a growth of his personality, a growth of his
Mm-hmm.
strength, his trust, his faith in the rebellion. Those
Yeah.
people that he fell into on Yavin 4, they're rebels.
Okay, right, got you.
They are part of a neo. Let me see if I can get this right. There's a specific sect that they're a part of, and Saw Gerrera actually mentions them in a rant he has in season one when he's talking about all of the different groups of separatists, and they are part of a particular rebel cell, and it's a really, really interesting way of showing that Cassian's on it. Cassian's attached to Luthen, who's the most organized, put together, on
Yeah.
top of everything. But the rest of the rebels, they are not unified yet. And when Cassian arrives on this
No,
planet,
yeah.
what he falls into is a group of rebels who are already fighting amongst themselves and become even more divided over a ship
Yeah.
where one side has the ship and one side has the pilot who can fly the ship.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're just not
Classic.
meeting in the middle. And this is Yavin 4 years before the Battle of Yavin. So there isn't an established rebel base yet. We are seeing
No.
those tiny little building blocks of the Rebel Alliance, and it's fascinating. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fascinating to me.
It's just a masterpiece of writing, isn't it, by Tony Gilroy again?
hmm
I
Cassian
think.
is such an engine for this story. He's constantly keeping things moving forward. And
Yeah.
I think I understand now why in Rogue One he's so cold and so detached, because we're already seeing who
Batsa.
he's
Yeah.
losing.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
him to, I knew there was going to be a death, but I wasn't anticipating that it was going to be Brasso, nor was I anticipating it was going to be so soon. And if you remember when
Mm,
we lost Nemec, there was a period to mourn. There was Cassian sitting with
yeah.
his little reader and listening to him speak. And when Marva died, there was her funeral. Brasso dies off screen and is shot like a dog. It is going so differently for Cassian. Everything is so much colder, everything is so much harder, and he
Yeah.
has to fight to adapt.
Yeah.
And I love when writers will willingly put these characters through difficult and devastating situations, because it builds their character and it builds them up to where we know they're going to go, and it makes it feel real and genuine.
Yeah.
Like, these are experiences that would change you and me and change the way we think about things.
Yeah.
And for Cassian, it's constantly about being shown that the sacrifice is for the greater good.
Yeah.
Yes, it's sad. Yes, it's heartbreaking, but we have to stop this happening. And that's, yeah, his arc in this is fantastic. I cannot wait to see where we're going next. I can't even anticipate where we're going next. I think that's the exciting thing. Are we off to
Mm.
Gore next? Like, where are we going?
Yeah, no, that's a great shout. And I think it's credit to Diego Luna as well with his character again,
Mm,
slotting straight back in the role. And it feels like it's a completely different character, but we know it's Cassian. Um, I definitely had that feeling just from the word go, that I just thought, he's a lot more confident, and he believes in himself a lot more, and everything he's doing is so
yes.
slick about doing it. Until he gets in that tie Avenger and he's going backwards, but again, classic. A little bit of comedy as well. And that's what Star Wars needs: a little bits of mature comedy. And what I mean by that is the range trooper, the rocket launcher. He missed the shot. He lines him back up, and he fires the missile at him. You don't actually see like any blood or guts. There's just a hole of where he was. A little bit of comedy like that is huge. I think for
I
Star Wars.
I particularly enjoyed him shouting at Bix on the comms, saying that I don't know how to fly this thing. I've been upside down for 2 days.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I love that as well. That's a great shout. I think even now I need to go back and watch all three again, because there's things obviously
Yeah.
I've missed, and I'm like, how did I miss that? So yeah,
This
maybe
is
go
what's
back.
annoying me. As I'm talking, I'm reminded more and more of things that I've missed and that I've forgotten. And I feel like we
Yeah,
could do
yeah,
this whole episode again.
yeah. But this is the beauty of it, and again, so much credit for Tony Gilroy.
Mm,
Tony, just do a trilogy. Anyway, um,
please.
so we've sort of spoken about the next person, Mon Mothma. We'll go into a little bit more depth for Mon Mothma, because she had a massive arc to play this. She's just wedded off her daughter, gave her own previous experiences, and things are looking pretty bleak for her. What's your take, Charlie?
Oh, everybody's settling because I've got some things I need to say. Right. We have heard about Chandrila for a while. It's been mentioned, it's been referenced, it's been discussed. We have never ever seen it in any kind of detail. And oh my goodness, did 90% of the budget go into this set design? I am
Yeah.
absolutely blown away. It is everything I could have hoped for and more. And Mon Mothma being the center of this story, even though there's a bride and a groom, we're very aware that the story is wholly focused on Mon
Yeah.
and the horror of her realizing that all of these pieces that she's been playing, whether that's Perrin, her husband, Tay,
Yeah.
Luthen, everyone's coming together and converging on the same space. And the rising panic you see in her as the episodes progress is absolutely fantastic. I think keeping her story so linear and so A to B to C was kind of essential because it kept this sort of solid pillar throughout the stories. Whilst everything was
Mm.
going a little bit crazy, we had this kind of consistency within Mon Mothma's story, and Genevieve O'Reilly absolutely acted the house down.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible.
Absolutely flawless.
I think between her and Diego, they definitely stole the show.
Absolutely stole the show. Both of them deserve awards for this, hands down, absolutely.
Yeah. Now,
She's clearly not doing well.
no, and this is so. This leads me on to my question: is, and we've heard it so many times now from all the cast and everybody saying, go and watch Rogue One straight after, and you'll see it differently. I'm looking at it from Mon Mothma's point of view and what she's geared up and what she's doing. But I've just got the sense that she doesn't want to start I don't know if I say this right now, like a physical rebellion. I think she wants to keep it
Yes,
political. But I think she's
yes.
gonna get. I think she's gonna get to a point where she's in a corner because of Luther, and she's like, "Oh wow, I didn't actually want this, but now I'm there."
So obviously the whole thing with it's Luthen's decision to take Tay out of the picture because he represents a liability to their problem and their situation.
Yeah.
And it is very interesting to see that even in the face of absolute danger and this blowing up in her face, she is still hesitant to take that extra step. Like when Tony Gilroy said that Luthen is an accelerationist, I wasn't expecting him to apply that kind of thinking in this situation.
Yeah.
Everything he does is to escalate and escalate and escalate. And I'm thinking by time we reach Mon Mothma's big speech in the Senate, she is going to be 100% for the physical act of rebellion. It
Mm,
is, she doesn't realize right now that it is going to take a
that's what I
physical
mean.
uprising. There is only
Yeah.
so much you can do with money
Yeah.
and power and status.
Yeah. This is why you go the yin to my yang. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Um, and then yeah, and we sort of touched on it as well. We watched Mon Mothma go into a drunk bit of euphonic dancing, if you like. Actually
Yep.
pulled off some
She
class
became
moves.
she became the one thing she said to her daughter that she wouldn't, which is
Yeah.
a drunk mother at her own daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that was pretty intense for a mother and daughter discussion. The costumes, I have to take a minute to talk about the
go for it.
costumes. Some of these dresses, every single episode as it went on, every reveal of every costume, my jaw was more and more and more on the floor. And
They were
specifically
good.
the second day of the wedding dress with the gold and the glittery and the silk and the drape,
Mm,
absolutely breathtaking. I get the feeling Genevieve has something to do with these costume choices and these decisions. They have captured the aesthetic of Mon Mothma as a character so beautifully. This is absolutely how I imagine she would
yeah.
dress when we meet her in A New Hope compared to how she is now. That absolutely makes sense to me. It's
Yeah.
breathtaking. I could speak about this for hours. I really could.
No, no. And let's not forget as well, in the promotion, if you like, in the build up, they did mention the costume designer. Forget her name now. I'm sure it was Michelle something. But they did say how hard that person had worked to get all these costumes. And yeah, massive credit to everyone on the costume designs part of the show, and you can really tell. Um,
The
anything
costume designer
else?
is Michael Wilkinson.
Michael, nearly got it. I said Michelle, but yeah, Michael. um, any more on the Mon Mothma arc?
Just everybody buckle in because I think she's really going to surprise us with some of the choices she makes later on down the line.
Yeah, yeah. Next person's arc, and this is sort of a minor arc, I think, if I'm honest, but an important one nonetheless. So I was going to title this like the Empire arc, but I'm just going to go with the Deja arc and Cyril. I thought it was absolutely class. Like them paired
Amazing.
together it's the relationship everybody wants. From season one, they were made for each other, and
Hmm.
now they've like they're together. They've got their own place together, and it's just funny watching them prepare dinner and all this. And at first, I did think like, who's this guest that's coming? And then lo and
Did you not
behold,
clock?
no, I did not have a clue. I did not have a clue. And then obviously
I knew.
the doorbell's going a few times. I'm like, who is this person? And as soon as the door opened, I was like, oh, it's his mum.
As soon as I saw Queen Dedra stand in front of the mirror with her blouses and her little fake smile and her nervous hands behind her back, I knew. I was
Yeah.
like, that's gonna be Edie. I know it.
I
There
was
she was.
expecting some high class officer or something.
This is the thing. I absolutely believe it. I obviously there was some very intense attraction between them in season one, and obviously the whole Stockholm thing of like being rescued by somebody in the midst of
Yeah.
horror
Yeah.
inclines one to feel this way. But I love the idea that they've settled down. Cyril's
Oh, I
gone up
think
a
it's
little bit in his
fantastic.
job.
But
I
this is
love that our first introduction to him was that scene
yeah.
where he's doing what was
Yes.
happening to him in season one. That there's
Yes.
what was it? There's no small job in the Bureau of Exchange or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just
I'm with you.
absolute perfection. And the way she handles Cyril's mum,
Oh,
I
what a
don't know if any
showdown.
of us
What a
have
showdown.
ever had relationships where mothers-in-law have been difficult. I know there are probably some people out there who absolutely wish they could one day speak to a past or future or current mother-in-law that way and just shut it down.
Yeah, no, it's
It was
golden. What a
fantastic.
scene! What a scene! Well, that scene was definitely up there in like my favorite moments of all three episodes. Like
Hmm.
you said, it's just class. How they just get on, and then that image where Cyril's just lying on the bed. He's in a state like, oh, what is happening? Absolutely
He's
love
so
that,
dramatic. He's
isn't he?
so dramatic for no reason, and I love him so much. The way she holds his face as well,
Yeah,
it was
but
intense.
this
See, what
this
I
is what
love
people
is
need to see. It's
these are the
it's
human moments. These are the
yes, yes. This is what we need to see, like the different side of the empire, because they're not all evil, if you like. They've all got their own beliefs, but they're still human, or there's
Mhm.
still, there's still something human about them. What was you going to say, Charlie? Go on.
Oh goodness, no! I was stopping myself because I realised that I have been talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, no, but just going back to that, it's an epic showdown. It's something I wanted to see. A different side of the empire. Costumes again, amazing. Um, I love how they deal with each other's conflicts. The next arc we'll move on to is going to be the big one. I think
Mhm.
absolutely huge. Do you want to start us off on this one, Charlie?
Yeah, so this was intense. Star Wars has always tried to cover, well, I say this, when George was initially writing Star Wars, he was covering a lot of grown-up and adult topics, but through the medium of maybe like a toy box. It was much more kind of softened and child-friendly, and Andor has tried and succeeded in bringing Star Wars into a more adult and realistic world that accurately reflects the things that we impact. And in episode 2, when Bix is approached by this Imperial officer, I was watching it and there were alarm bells going off in the back of my head. And I settled myself and I said, no, it won't be that. I'm overthinking it. I'm misunderstanding. I'm absolutely misunderstanding. That's not what it is at all. And then when he returns in episode 3, and this is the first time this has ever happened in Star Wars, we witness an attempted sexual assault
Yeah,
on Bix. And it was intense. There were no cutaways. There was no avoiding it. There was no moving away from it. It was we sit in and we watch this happen because it's not just about the Empire's power over the masses, it's the Empire's power over the individuals. And unfortunately, this type of thing and this type of behavior is a byproduct of war and a byproduct of colonization and taking over places and exerting control over people.
yeah,
The way
yeah,
women are treated historically in war is horrific. And to see this reflected so intensely and so aggressively was definitely shocking for me as somebody who exists as a woman in the world. And I can imagine a lot of other women watching this were also deeply, deeply moved. And
yeah.
would like to just take a second to read out a quote from the actress herself, who said specifically, "It just felt really liberating to be able to do that. I had a lot of women in my heart at that time. For any woman, for anyone, when you have a stranger, a male stranger in your own space, everything becomes survival." And survive is exactly what she did.
Yeah,
She fought back and she succeeded. And to also have the word rape said in Star Wars was also surprising, necessary,
yeah, yeah,
and deeply important. It's a very, very bold move, and I applaud Tony Gilroy from the rooftops for it. I absolutely
yeah,
do. These are discussions and topics that needs to be spoken about. And if it
yeah.
takes Star Wars to get people to understand that that is wrong and not okay, so be it.
Yeah, 100%. And also credit to Lucasfilm and everyone else behind the
Mm,
scenes as well, giving it the green light and going ahead with it. And again, I'm totally with you. Again, watching that episode 2, I did start to think, okay, what's going on here? Episode 3, I was like, surely not. Because again, for me, for it to come out on Star Wars, I was quite surprised. And at the time, my daughter was in the room and she was absolutely engrossed in it. And I was like, what do I do here? Because obviously my daughter's watching it. I obviously paused it well before what was going on, what was said. Because again, my daughter's way too young for that sort of thing, in my opinion. And I'll deal with that when I'm ready to, when she's old enough. Um, but yeah, once everything was sorted here, I watched it again. I was taken aback. I was shocked. And one thing that did stand out, which I thought they hit the nail on the head with, is when everything was said and done, and the trooper outside told her to come out, and she told him what happened. He still played the ignorance and just said, "Well, he's dead." There was no, "Oh, I'm so sorry." There's no, he didn't take her side or nothing. He just went, "Well, she's dead. He's dead." Straight away. Uh, but yeah, they all obviously got their comeuppance. They all got dealt the right
you
card,
did.
if you like. Um, I think at this point, everyone that's watching it was screaming for Cassian to come down, and,
We
and
were
save
waiting.
save the
It
day, which he duly did.
I think it specifically being Bix, and we know that she is such an important person in Cassian's life. To see her attempt to be hurt this way and be attacked like this, and to see her so panicked and frightened in herself, and then for Cassian to appear, it's highs and lows for this poor character. She's at the absolute depths, and then Cassian appears, and then he has to tell her that Brasso's gone, and then they have to leave Bimo behind.
Yeah,
Give this poor girl a break. I understand why why, bless her.
yeah,
It's been a hard season for her, I think.
yeah,
There was a Vanity Fair article where she talks about how in the first season Bix's torture was a metaphor for people who've experienced this sort of behavior and this sort of crime. And to
hmm,
see it realized in such a literal way in season 2 is shocking and hard to sit and watch. I will be honest about that. It was a difficult one to sit through,
yeah,
but for the sake of the story and for what it represents and the wider context of these things, I
yes,
think it is absolutely necessary. And I can only sit here and applaud the people who filmed that, edited it, pieced it together, wrote it, directed it. Every single one of them,
yeah,
absolutely incredible.
yeah. Massive kudos, to all of them.
Mm,
I do hope they get the recognition they deserve, and I do hope the arc gets the light that it deserves as well in the story. And again, it's
mm,
Star Wars. Hope it helps everyone out that's been through it, or whatever. Um, and like you mentioned with Bix, she's been through the mill from the start. At first she lost the person she was in love, well, sort of in love with, if you like. He got gunned down from the off. She's been dragged around the galaxy. She's been tortured all the time, and then she's just having this
mhm.
happened. So I think she's very fragile, and similar to Mon Mothma, I think she's got a big part to play, uh, in everything that's going on at the minute. Uh, but yeah, I
So
think. Go on, Charlie.
no, I'm so sorry. I just remembered a point that I wrote down earlier. What I think is interesting is in the trailer we see her later on doing what I would assume is espionage work and undercover
Mm,
spy work. She didn't necessarily have the personal hatred for the Empire that Cassian carried, or Brasso carried, or even Bimo seemed to carry, and Marva. This was her inciting incident. This is how you write a hero story. This is
yeah,
her moment to go, okay, I hate them as well. It's time for me to do something. It's time for me to stand up. And it is incredibly powerful that they chose to use this as a particular storytelling device.
yeah, yeah.
10 out of 10.
100%. And then the last person we're going to talk about is obviously BMO. You know, he's been left behind. Absolutely gutting. I'm glad he's been left behind and not destroyed. I'm glad they did it that way.
Yep, I think that's the best
That
option.
makes me feel
We've
better.
For the people who are listening to this episode, not watching it, there is a little BMO in the corner of our screen because we love him so much. We are big BMO fans in this house.
Yeah.
His stutter seems to have gotten worse. I didn't like the comment about she'll make sure you rest when you need to. He's getting tired, and he's been through a lot.
Yeah, I don't think he's got much
And
left in him.
I'm really worried for him, and I just want him to see Cassian again. That's all I want. Cassian.
I don't think we're going to see B2 again. I think that's his story finished. Living
Well, aren't
happily,
you a ray of sunshine?
farming. Yeah, I'm pretty confident it's all downhill from here. But yeah, overall, absolutely top draw, free class episodes. Did I expect it to be this good? I'll be totally honest. I actually did think it was going to be this good,
Same,
especially after at the
same.
celebration. The time, the energy people are putting. It's like the Skeleton Crew. Like when I seen them in London, you know, I seen the energy they had. I just thought if they've got this energy in what they're doing, it's going to be outstanding. It's the same with Diego Luna and everyone else. Taylor Gilroy. The energy they've got is incredible. So far so good for me. Can't wait for more. I've got no idea where we're going next. Like you, Charlie. Where do we go next?
I think so. The Gorman massacre's being planned. We know
Mm,
this.
mm,
Daedra's put a little bit of her 10 pence into the pot about what actually needs to happen, and that some agent provocateurs. Again, these are. We also. I'm sorry. I've gotten distracted again. We also need to talk about the fact that we had words like undocumented used in Star Wars as well. We had the immigrant crisis discussed. There were lots of references to World War II. That entire scene with the Empire discussing around the table was shot like a scene from the film Conspiracy,
yeah,
where German soldiers planned for the eradication of the Jewish population.
yeah,
This man knows his history like no director I've seen before. And I've never watched a Born Identity film, so I'm not familiar with Tony
what?
Gilroy in the slightest. This is my first introduction
Yeah,
to this man. And the history buff that he is, I'm impressed. I'm absolutely impressed.
yeah.
Luthen. Luthen being a sneaky little man at that wedding and going, "Oh, how many? Where are you based?"
Yes,
With
yeah. I saw
eyes
that.
like saucers.
I saw that. Yeah, clever though. You know, he's got the cards to his chest. But just going back to what you said about Tony Gilroy as well, there's a lot of real world issues I think he's put into this,
Hmm.
which will
Hmm.
reminisce with a lot of viewers, which again will help one get the viewers, but two get the messages out there that need to be out there. Um, but yeah, I still think we're going to see a lot more of Luthen in the next arc. I think we're going to see
Yes.
his story coming into fruition.
I do think it might be the Gorman massacre next.
Yeah, and I hope
That's my
so.
instinct.
I hope so. Not because I want to see people get massacred, but I want to see my boy
No.
Saw Gerrera. We are a family friendly show. But yeah, I can't wait to see Forrest Whitaker. I cannot wait. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I mean, we've already spoken about the music with the EDM vibe.
We
Love that.
have
Music's absolutely brilliant. We've
we
mentioned the
talked about the costumes, we
costumes.
talked about the set.
Yeah, all incredible. Um, One thing I will mention for those that are new joining us. So not too long ago, I went down to Pinewood Studios where this was filmed, and all the wheat where they were running through and that was actually real, and that all got shipped off to America. They didn't destroy that; they actually shipped it off to America. So yeah, fun fact. But yeah, I think that's everything from myself. What you got? Any last words, Charlie?
Cut me off now because I will just carry on talking for the next hour and a half. Like, please.
Yeah,
Absolutely sensational. To be honest, I might end up doing a live about it on my Instagram this week because I feel like I've got so much I need to say.
there's loads. There is loads. I think there's definitely an episode in this where we can relate real world issues to certain things and stuff
Yes.
that comes out, or something like the power of Star Wars. But we'll talk
I
offline
think that
about that.
I think we do need our history teacher Jimmy for that one though. I think he'd
Yes.
be very upset if he wasn't here.
Yes. Well, he's already upset. He's not here. He's doing his history stuff at
He
school as
is.
we speak. Bless him. Right. Yeah. Awesome. If you've just joined us, like we said at the start of the show, if you want to join the crew, join Explore the Force, all one word. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, and YouTube. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining me and Charlie. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And also let us know what you think is going to be coming up next and any of your favourite moments and also predictions. So from myself and Charlie, thank you very much for joining us, and may the force be with you.
Bye.